Let me get this big box out of my face on the screen and covered me up. Hi, my name is Anna Bryson, and I am a designer at Michaels. I've been with Michaels for 21 years and just love making. And so I've been in the designer for about 12 years in that role over in marketing. So I'm loving it, obviously, since I've been there. And today we're going to play with Rainbow Loom. We're going to make these cute little popsicle backpack tags, keychains, necklace. You can do whatever you want with it. It's kind of a charm, kind of a big charm, but a charm nonetheless. And you can use it on your backpack. You can put it on your purse. You can put it on your keychain, wherever you want to put it. You can hang it in your room. It's lots of fun. And so we will get started. I'm going to ask that this view stay on for a few minutes so I can go through the products because they're a little bit big for our view on my phone. So the first product that we will need for this project is going to be the Rainbow Loom bonus combo set. This will work with, if you have an older Rainbow Loom from a while back, it is the exact same one that's in this kit. We do need 2 looms for the project that we are showing. However, if you have one, we can adapt it. And I will try to be good to walk you through that as we do the double one. But if it gets a little confusing, then we can circle back in a little bit and do a single one after a while. So if that works for you guys, we will get started. So here's this guy, and I'll open it up in a minute when we switch views. You'll also need, if you want to use it as a keychain, you will need some little of the findings that come in the little Creatology set. And they're little key rings. There's also a lanyard piece that comes with it that looks like these guys here. I know it's kind of hard to see. I don't know if that's any help. Let me see if I can get a different color that might be easier to see that doesn't blend so much with my, these little guys here. And then we can, and so you can choose to put those on there. And then inside this guy, the rubber bands are already in here. And again, if you have another set from when it's the blue box, the traditional one, that's perfectly fine. And the rubber bands, as long as they're the Rainbow Loom one, rubber bands, you're fine. I mean, all the product is pretty interchangeable. So if you want to go ahead and switch the view to overhead, we can open up. Thank you. Okay, so these are the guys that we're making here. Let's see if I can make sure I have them the right way so they're not facing me, but they are facing you. So super cute, fun for summer. So I'm gonna move those out of the way a little bit. So I'm just gonna open this box up. And again, I apologize, we're pretty tight for the project. So this item, if I open it up with a different view, everything's gonna fall right out. So we will open this up here, and you will need your Rainbow Loom. You'll need your loom. You'll need the tool that is inside here, and feel free to ask questions. I am happy to go slower if I need to, speed up if I need to, stay in the middle. So this guy, so here's your loom, and then there's lots of rubber bands inside your loom box. Now inside here's also pony beads and some alpha beads and clips. We're not going to use those for this particular project, but feel free to hold on to them for some later projects that may come up. So
real fast before we move forward,
yes.
We have a couple of questions in the chat. First of all, do we need a loom?
Yes.
Definitely. So without a loom, we wouldn't be able to make this project.
Not today, right? Yeah, you will need a loom for this project. It is very involved with. We do use pretty much all of the pegs with 2 looms, and you'll see. Oh, I'll show you in a minute how I break it up. But this, I actually have a loom preloaded. So just to give you a quick preview of how it's going to look before we start, looping them and pulling them off. It's pretty involved as far as the rubber bands. So it's going to have to be on a Rainbow Loom for this project.
Perfect. So then whoever doesn't have a loom today, feel free to just sit back and watch the class. You can always get one and then come back and watch it on our either YouTube channel or Michael's website. That's fine too.
Absolutely. So these little finding guys we don't need right now. So I'm just going to keep them out of the screen for now, and we'll circle back to those in just a little bit. So you will need, for the purpose of the popsicle that looks like this, with this size and everything, you will need 2 looms. But like I said, you can do this with 1 and make it just a skinnier popsicle. And this is a totally different project, but just so you know, if you want to adapt this pencil into a popsicle, we can easily do that. So you can see that it's with 3 rows and that you can do that with 1 single loom. So I'm gonna take that out of the screen so we don't get confused. I know I would get confused with seeing a couple different things there. So I'm gonna put this guy out of the way. So we are going to the first thing we are gonna do is we are gonna attach 2 looms together to make 1. So I have got these 2 looms here. So in order to do that, you can see this one's kind of off in some different patterns. You need them off, but for this pattern, we're going to be all parallel, but 2 looms together. So I'm going to turn it over upside down. And I'm going to take these little blue, they're a little tight. So you're going to take these rows out of the blue. I usually turn it over, but these guys are new, so they want to be stubborn. This one I use all the time. So this guy is probably going to come apart, like just fall apart for us. That's okay. Well, I need to get these guys off here.
So
okay.
Anna, real fast, someone's asking if that person has one big loom, would that work?
One big
is it
loom.
A specific size that the loom needs to be?
I wouldn't think you would need a specific size. What you would need are the 13, I believe there's 13, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pegs, and you'll need 5 rows.
Perfect. That clears it up.
Oh, good. Okay, awesome. I didn't think about that. Great question. So as you see, I have this kind of taken apart here with all these guys just kind of around. So, and then I'm going to take this one. So I'm going to kind of pull it out of the screen a little bit just so I have a better angle here. And
Anna, just so you know, we do have quite a few people that just have 1 loom. So if you can definitely go through how to make it with 1, that would also be very helpful for them.
Sure, absolutely. Do you think is the majority on the 1? Should we shift to just the 1 and maybe do a 2 after a while if it's a smaller group? What are your thoughts?
I don't know if it's the majority, but it is several. Maybe okay. If you know, if there's time, if you can make like the single one, and then I'm guessing the double one would be sort of the same principle, but double.
It's similar. There are some there's very, very slight differences, but they are important differences. So I mean, and really, really slight. So I'll go with a double, and then I will circle back with a single. So if you're doing a single, and you're feeling pretty confident, go ahead and follow me. I will tell you the differences within the 2. But if it gets confusing, I will definitely circle back and do a single by itself. Does that work?
Okay, I think that would help because yeah, right now we're getting a lot of comments of people just having 1. So
okay,
so yes.
Awesome. If you have 1, arrange your loom so that all of the rows are the pegs are even across each other. 3, 13 down, 3 across. So we're just doing that here now. We're just doing it with the double. So what I do is usually put this guy down here is I'll put it looks very similar to what I just took apart, and I promise there's a reason why I did that. And then I'm going to flip it over here, and then I'm going to off center this guy. Sorry, I'm going to go a little bit back and forth just because it's easier to. And all I'm doing is just, and it doesn't have to be in this exact order. I feel like I do it differently every single time. The way I put these pegs on. But as long as, if you can see the little U in the top of the loom, they all need to be going the same way. So the opening needs to all of the rows, the opening needs to be going the same way. So you don't want to do this where these guys are open this way and this is open this way. You want them all here. And really, we only need 5 rows, so you don't even have to put this one on. Just my brain just functions a little bit easier. So, but I'm going to go ahead and take this off just to eliminate any confusion. So we're only going to use 5, and I'm just going to put a little bit extra support on there. And that's what these guys do. They support the pegs, and because we are using all of them, there's going to be a lot of tension with the rubber band. So as much support as you have, the better. So here we go. We have our rainbow loom all put together. I've got 5 rows. Oops, you can't see my fingers here. 5 rows across, 13 down. And then we are going to work with these little arrows. If you can see the little arrows in here, there's arrows. And we're going to start loading these guys with the arrows pointing away from us. So the openings of your pegs will be going away from you. And for the purposes of the project that I have done with these guys, with this here, I use 3, there's actually 4 colors. There's the green, the yellow, the pink, and the gold. And I'm going to probably change it up a little bit and use some different colors since I have 2 the exact same. So you want to choose 4 colors. I like the gold for the popsicle stick because it kind of, is a little bit more natural color. So I'm going to keep that as a staple. So for the double, you'll need 14 of the gold rubber bands total. If you want to count them out, if not, I just use them from the box. Yeah, I don't really count them out, but I do have them counted if you're interested. These 3 colors here, I'm sorry, the first color you're going to need 38. The 2 middle colors you will need 36, and the extra 2 are for this part up here. Oh, I'm pointing, but I'm not showing. Or this point right up here at the top. So we don't need to worry about that yet. Just wanted to give you an idea of why you need a few extra for the top color. So I'm just going to grab a handful and just put them on my desk here. And because pink is always one of my favorite colors, I'm just going to throw some. It's kind of hard to see because this loom is taking up a lot of space here. What other color should I do? I've got blue, I've got pink, and I'm going to do white. I'm going to do some white in the middle. So we are going to double up our rubber bands as we are loading on here. And what that means is you take 2 together, and then you load them on your peg. I'm going to move this down a little bit so you can see how to start. So on the pegs, you're going to stretch your rubber bands 2 at a time across 2 pegs. So I'm going to start with the middle one, and I'm going to stretch them across. Blue may not have been the best one. I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see that pretty well. If for some reason it's hard to see, I can switch it to a brighter color. Maybe I should do that because it is kind of hard to see.
If you have a brighter color, that would be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Let me get these blue out of the way. There is a brighter blue that come with the older packs, but for the purposes of this one, I wanted to stick with what was in the pack that we because I can go back to green because I feel like green, or actually, yeah, green or yellow. I'll do yellow because yellow is bright and fun. So, okay. So I'm going to start over. I'm going to start with, you can see the 2 rubber bands, and I'm going to stretch them across 2 pegs, and you're going to repeat that. I'm going to do it down 3 times, or I'm going to repeat it 2 more times for a total of 3 sets, 3 pegs full.
So Anna, could you just go a little bit slower?
Sure, absolutely. So I put 2 rubber bands on, and I stretch them across 2 pegs, and I'm going to move this down. I'm going to go to my second color, and I'll show you again exactly what I did. So 2 rubber bands at, oh, I'm like in the strange spot, so I got to kind of work here. 2 rubber bands at the same time. Okay, and I'm going to wrap them around these 2 rubber. It's hard with my hands here. Let me see if I can switch to my left hand. These 2. Let's see, and I'm going to stretch them across 2. So if you can see, I have them across here and here. They're across those 2 pegs. I'm working down the middle. And I'm going to repeat that 2 more times. And this is because I have I have 3 colors within my popsicle. So if you are on working on a single loom, still work down your middle peg. You're just going to do the 2, because you have 3 pegs instead of 5. Work down the middle, and then you can work down the side. So it'll be very similar to what I'm doing here, just not the outer pegs. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to my third color. And again, I'm going to try to go left-handed here, so it's easier to see.
Anna, just real fast, it seems like a lot of people had issues understanding how you put together the loom. Could you go over that again really fast?
I can. These little blue things are on the back. They come up, they come out. So you can pop these rows out of the blue. They are nice and strong, which is good because you want them in there. But when you're trying to do this on video, sometimes it's kind of challenging. There we go. So I'm just going to show again, I'm just going to show one. If I need to take it apart, I can, but just to show one real quick, I don't have anything that's going to mess up if I do. So they pop out. So I have them in individuals. And then what I did was I had 3. I started out with 3 on the back here. I started out with 3 and then I like off-centered this one to put a 4th one on. Then I added this little guy here, and it doesn't have to be here. It can be anywhere. Like I'm going to put this one here to brace it a little. Oh, you can't see that where I just did. To brace it here. And perhaps if we want to go back to the different view, I can show it face on. So
I think that might help.
Yeah, so we're not inching it up and down. You can see here, I'm going to move it back a little bit. How I have it kind of plated on the back. Pretty much it's just pieced together. And you can do it in a different configuration. It doesn't have to be this exact one, but this is what happened to work today. Because I like what I did last night was probably completely different than what I'm doing today. But as long as you are able to get all of the rows on here parallel, and let's see if I can kind of angle this. We can kind of see the opening is right here. There's these little arrows that are pointing down. They all need to be going the same direction. There's only arrows on 2. They're on the middle ones of the original peg. I mean, original loom as it came out as a 3. These right here are on the middle ones. But just make sure they're all going down the same row. I do have this extra one that I opted not to put on to confuse since we're only using 5. Is that helpful? Is that a little bit easier?
Yeah, I think that was super clear.
Awesome. Okay. Sure. So I'm gonna pause for a minute. So if there was a few people still putting theirs together, I'm gonna pause for a minute and let them get caught up. Just to backtrack a little bit, we're working 2 rubber bands at a time. Let's see if I can get in my screen here. 2 rubber bands at a time, and I just layer them together. And I put them across. I'm putting across 2 pegs. And I'm starting with the middle row at the top where the arrows are, which is, let's see, again, this is a little challenging here. I have it turned, but there we go. Perhaps I should work in that direction. That may be a little easier. I have it turned to face me, but it doesn't need to be. Let me move these guys out of these little rubber bands out of the way, and I will work that way. See if that's helpful. The loom is kind of big, and our space from the camera to the desk is kind of small. So I apologize. We are going to do our best to work through this easier. So you'll work again from the arrow down and work from the middle. So if you're working with 3 looms or 3 rows, I'm sorry, with a single loom, do the same thing I have here down the middle. Now you can do any color scheme that you want to. I'm doing a color blocking of 3 like I did in this guy here. So I'll have 3 colors. So my yellow is representing the green, my white is representing the yellow, and the pink is of course the pink. So the only thing difference, I guess the green, the yellow and the pink. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this last pink one on because that's where I was here.
Oh, Anna?
Yes.
Sorry, we lost video on the overhead.
Uh-oh.
Just 1 second, guys. We'll be right back with you.
Yep, I'm sorry. I have it on Do Not Disturb, but somebody called me. So I think that is why.
Golly, there we are.
There we are. Okay. Now I'm going to make sure that for some reason I don't know how to do this without messing us totally up, but my Do Not Disturb was on, but apparently my husband tried to call me and it was able to get through. So should I just continue going on the way we are and just hope Hope you didn't call again.
Yes. Yeah, we can continue and hopefully he won't call back. If he does, we can always just go back to the camera.
All right, he moved my camera a little bit. He got me all messed up now.
There,
Okay.
that's perfect.
Let's see if this helps a little bit. It just gives us a little bit more room. Okay, so you can see my tape, but that's okay. Okay, so where we are now is we started from in the middle row, whether you have a double loom or a single loom. You start from the middle of the 5 or the 3. You use 2 rubber bands and you stretch them across 2 pegs. And I did that, and you overlap as you add the next set, you overlap from the next peg. So you go from 1 to 2. So then you pick up 2 more rubber bands and you go from 2 to 3. And you pick up 2 more rubber bands and you go 3 to 4. And then you continue on. And then this is where I stopped so far. So I have 3 yellows, 3 white, and 3 pink on here right now. And then I have 3 open pegs left over, but I am going to do an overlap on this one like I did here. Actually, I apologize. This is actually where I'm stopping on the middle row. So if we are ready to move on to the next row, it's very similar, but we do continue on. So I'm going to try to work like this so it is easier for you guys to see. So I'm going to stretch across these 2. Did that make a little bit more sense than my hand being in the way? Probably. So we have those 2. And I'm working on the row next to it. Now, for those of you who are working on 3 instead of 2, you're going to do what we would do on the outside, which this one right here, you're actually going to angle it. So if you're working on a 2, if you're working on a 5, earmuffs. If you're working on a single loom with 3 rows, you want to angle your outside one as shown here. Okay, so for those of us who are working on the double loom with the 5 rows, you want to keep this one straight. And then you're going to mirror what you just did on the middle row with 2 rubber bands on each one. Just make it look exactly like you just did.
So Anna, if someone wanted to add more than 4 colors, would that be possible?
Sure. Yeah, you can do it any way you want to do it. The way I'm doing it here comes in this color blocking pattern. But if you want it to be all one color, you can do that. If you want it to be just a mix match of whatever you grab, you can do that too. It's however you want this to come out. Because I did the color blocking, that's how you see it on here is, and I'm going to show you real quick, a loaded one. This guy here is already loaded. So you can see this is actually loaded with the exact colors as this guy here. So you can see how it's going to end up. I mean, it just looks like an oversized popsicle on the loom. And that's really what you want. So once you see it all on here, you're like, oh yeah, I like that. So you can do 3 stripes, 2 stripes, 5 stripes, however you want to do it and however you want to break it out. But I will say, just to give you a heads up at the bottom, if you're working on a single with 3 pegs, you're going to want to continue where I have gold here in the middle peg. But for those of us who are in the 5, so we have that separation of the popsicle stick. Let's see, right here at the bottom. Where is there it is, the bottom. Then we need to have the popsicle sticks, on the rows 2 and 4. But for the single, I'm going to fold this over. For the single, it would be down the middle. Does that make more sense? And I'm not in the camera, am I?
No. There we
go. I just folded it over so to try to show the 3. Oh, I'm still not in there. Goodness, let me move this out of the way.
There you go.
There we go. So I just folded it over so you can see it would be the 3 down the middle run. But for the double one, you would want it down the row 2 and 4. So there's a separation. Okay. So yeah, you can absolutely do this any way you want to do it.
And for every time you put rubber bands on, you would use a double, right? It's always a
Yes.
double.
Yes, I'm doing a double. And what that is doing, it's just bulking it up so it's a little bit chunkier. So it's a little bit chunkier and a little bit more substantial. If you have a single and one you're using as a backpack pull and one breaks, your whole thing falls apart eventually. Not right away, but eventually, fairly quickly. But this one gives you the extra one to fall apart. I did a whole banner, a like Halloween banner, and wrote Happy Halloween. It was just all connected. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if one breaks, the whole thing falls apart. So I double banded it. So I had that extra stability. And I usually recommend that one, if you want something a little bit chunkier, a little bit more substantial, or if you're doing something with high use, high functionality, like a backpack pull, having a double is definitely helpful. So I'm just loading these on just like we did the first row. And so for this second, let me move this guy down. So for this row here, I'm going to call it row 2 because I have that we started in the middle. So that was technically row 3. I know this is confusing and I'm sorry. So you've got your 5 rows across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is how I'm going for my sake, it's left to right, but so it's row 2 or 4, depending on the way you look at it. I'm going to continue on with the gold pegs to add the gold ones for the popsicle stick on this row, because the next row that we're going to do is actually going to mirror this one. So I'm going to put these gold ones on, just continue it on. And if they get twisted within each other, it's not that big of a deal. It drives me crazy. So I'm going to straighten those guys out. And then put these here over these two, and then 2 more here. So you can see on that next row here, I continued on past the pink and added the popsicle stick, colors. So now for the row next to I'm going to go back over to the blank row next to the middle one that we started with, and I'm going to repeat exactly what we just did down this row here with the gold all the way to the end. So I'm not going to go quick. And I'm just going to, if I need to slow down, please somebody let me know. But I am putting 2 on at a time. And stretching them across the 2 pegs, overlapping each other. By overlapping again, if you're just starting, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and then so on. And for the folks using a single loom, if you remember, the first ones up here were at an angle. And then for those of you using a double loom, we're going to angle our last 2 rows. So I'll show you that in a minute when we get there. I know we are not quite there yet. Sorry. Sorry, I'm right-handed. And then after this last color here, I'm going to go with the gold. Of course, they're way over here on my desk. Sorry about that. Put that back here where we were. I'm going to move him down. So move my loom down so you can see where we are. Now I'm pushing these down. You don't have to do that, but we are doing what's called a capping band shortly. So it just makes it a little bit easier. So it's up to you if you want to push them down as you go. It's just a habit I have. You can push them down when you're done. You can take do them in a row and push them down with your hook if you want to. It is not necessary. It is not mandatory. It doesn't really give a whole lot of extra benefit. It gives you a little bit more room when we add capping bands, and don't worry about that yet. But just know there's going to be another piece to these rows. So that's why I'm pushing them down. How are we doing?
Good. I'm guessing everyone's crafting. Someone would just like to know, what's the name of this kit?
This kit is called the Rainbow Loom bonus combo set. It's the 10th year anniversary set. That's kind of their big, I'll put this here. I know that light is, let me see, put my hand over it so you can kind of see a little bit better. Is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
There. So that's what's in the box. And it is, and at here, but before we switch over to the single, when we do that in just a little bit, we can switch views so I can hold the box up again.
Okay.
But it's just like one of those plastic like storage boxes, and it's got, it gives you 8 different colors of rubber bands, and then you have some pony beads and some clips for if you're wanting to do bracelets for closures, and some alphabet beads. So it gives you a nice little set of things. You also get a loom and a hook, which we haven't used yet, but it does, and it gives you a metal hook, which in the beginning, I don't know if anybody who's been rainbow looming as long as I have, I don't know if anybody on here has been rainbow looming as long as I have, but they started out with a plastic hook, which was okay, but it did bend and give a little bit, and it kind of gives you the illusion that it's not going to be stable. So if you do have one of those, it is stable. It just kind of feels like it's not, because it is kind of flimsy, but the metal hooks are fantastic. If you have the opportunity to use a metal hook, it's great. And by metal hook, you can use a crochet hook as well. That's also it's basically what it is. It's just a small crochet hook. Okay.
Perfect. And do you know, Anna, if you can purchase the loom and the bands separately, like not necessarily with a kit?
Yes, you can. Okay, so the loom, no, the loom comes in a kit. There is a smaller kit than this big one. I believe this guy's $19.99. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's $19.99. This one that I'm using today that has a single loop. There is a smaller box that I know when I was rainbow looming a while ago, they were $14.99. I feel like they may have come down a little bit in price, but just expect to be somewhere between 10 to 14, somewhere in that price range. And you get a package of bands, and it's 600 bands, and then you get a loom, a hook, and some clips. So it's a good buy. I mean, it's a good buy. You get a good thing. The loom, the rubber bands themselves, yes, you can buy them separately. There's a multi-pack. There's a couple of different multi-packs. There's some with patterns that are kind of like, like this. There's a camo one, which is my personal favorite. There's a tie-dye one, which is fun. There's one with like the inside is white and the outside is like red or whatever. So it's kind of gives a cool look. And then there's also the individual packs that are just solid colors. And then the multi-packs of like all these colors mixed together. And they are usually around $3.99, and you get 600. It's a pack of 600 bands with clips inside them. And the clips inside the individual bands are clear. The clips inside the kits are color. Or like these right here. And that's for like bracelet making. It kind of gives you a closure for your bracelet making. But I will say that you can buy the colors individually as well if you're interested in that.
Perfect.
Yep. So there's a couple of different things. There's also a jumbo, and I'll show it later. There's also this jumbo bucket. It doesn't come with a rainbow loom, but it does come with clips, and it comes with a bunch of bands. And it gives you, let's see, it says 8,000 rubber bands and 1,500. I know my numbers, 150 clips. So, and this is and it says it's for 7 and up. So that's just FYI on that guy. Okay, so we'll go back here. So now we are going to do our angle. And by us, I mean the 5 ones on the 5. For those of you who are using a single, you've done this already on the outer 2 rows. So these are the outer 2 rows for the double loom. So we are going to angle, and I'm just going to do this instead of going back and forth. I'm just going to stick to one row and then do it again on the other side. When I'm doing this individually, I get going down, and then I'm all over the place. So I'm trying to stay organized for you guys. So we're going to do the same thing now, going from here. We're going to overlap just like we have been doing. So the only difference between this row and the previous rows is this angle right here. We're going from row 4 to row 5, peg 1 to 2, if that makes any sense. I hope it does. But it can be good. It makes sense in my mind, but sometimes it doesn't make sense when it comes out of my mind. Okay. So I'm just going to put these on just like we've been doing. And this is the longest part of this project. I mean, it really starts to go fast once we get it loaded. Now it won't for the purpose of the video, because I'm going to go do it pretty slow, because it can be a little bit confusing. But the next phase is going to be good that we are so close to our camera.
Anna, could you bring the loom down just a little bit? What you're doing right now is not on camera. There you go.
Absolutely. Thank you.
No problem.
Yep, I get my head down and I don't see what I'm doing. Okay, so on this last row here, we did the angle at the top, and we are ending like we did on the third one, because we're not going to continue the popsicle stick part of our popsicle on this last row. On the last row, I mean the fifth row. I'm sorry, we have one more row to load. Sorry for that confusion. So I'm going to move it back up. And then I'm going to mirror what we just did on this side with the angle and work down the exact same way on this side. So hopefully this will be a little bit closer to see. And again, I'm still doing 2 rubber bands. There we go. Might be a little bit easier there. All right, going back to left hand, I see that I'm blocking the screen here.
So again, just to clear things up, the angles would be on row 1 and 5, right?
Correct. Yes.
Perfect.
Yep. And for the single loom users, it's the 2 outside, the 1 and 3.
Okay, and just a reminder for everyone who, this class is being recorded. So if you need to go back and watch it and maybe pause it and go at your own pace, that's perfectly fine. The links are in the chat.
Sorry, because I'm not left-handed, this is going to give me a little bit of, fingers are going to fumble a little bit. And I'm overlapping pegs. I know I keep kind of repeating that, but just in case we get some people joining a little bit after, or maybe we're concentrating on another step when I had mentioned it before. Let me move it up. And then I'm going to, in 2 bands at a time, continue on here. Okay. So our loom is loaded. We need to put the capping bands on, but for the purpose of the meat of the popsicle stick, if you will, popsicle charm, it is loaded. So when you see, I'm going to kind of Star Wars this into the camera here. And you can kind of see, because we work from top to bottom to load it. I wanted to show that right there. Okay. So for the capping bands, what the purpose of the capping bands, though, if you look at this holistic, like if you look at this like as it is now loaded, there's all these individual rows. So if we were to start folding these over and try to take it off, they're just going to have individual rows that are just all separated. So we want something that connects these guys. So if you see here, I'm going to move the loom out of the way for a minute. So if you see here, we have, it's, let me see if I can get further in the, there we go. Let's see. You can see that these rows are stuck together. So we need something that's going to keep these guys together, right? So they're not individual rows. So that's what we call, there's 2 types of capping bands. There is one that we're going to do at the very end that's going to hold kind of the end together. And then we're going to have some that are going to keep the rows together. So you're going to need to take one yellow rubber band, and I'm going to stretch them. I'm going to go an opposite way. I'm going to stretch them across these 3 pegs here. Then I'm going to overlap and do another one across these here. So this one right here, the middle one, has both of it on it, right? We went from 1, 2, 3, and then really I should have showed we went 3, 4, 5, but I went 1, 2, 3, then I came back in. So to show that again, I'm going to wrap it around the 3, the middle peg, and go across here. Went across all 3. So for you single users, hold on, I'll show you in just a minute. It's very similar. Then on this one, I'm going to go from the middle. So you can see I did the same thing, just in the opposite direction, and captured all 3. So what this is doing is this is connecting all of the rows together. So these guys here and these is kind of doing that, if you will. Does that make a little bit of sense? I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to do 3 yellow, then I'm going to do 3 white, 3 pink. By 3, I mean the row. I guess these are more of the rows, and the columns were a long way, but to keep consistency, we're going to go across the rows perpendicular to what we were just doing. And then we're going to overlap the middle one. Okay, so for the single loom users, the 3, you're just going to do 1 across the 3 and work down. Do 3 yellow, 3 white, 3 pink, and then stop at the gold. If that makes sense. And if not, we will address it again when we get down to doing a single. And it does not matter if you do these first and then these first, or which ones you do first. This just happens to be the way I'm doing it for the purpose of the camera. So you want to go stretch across the 3. So if we do, what I mean by that is if we decide this time, I'm going to go these 3 and then these 3, that is a-okay. That is not going to mess anything up. And really, you're not really going to see these unless you separate it out like I just did. But I like to keep the colors just to coordinate just in case. Oops. Sorry about that. Just hit it with my hand here. Now I'm going to go down to the pink and do the same thing. I'm going across 3. Across.
And Anna, just a question. Right now, are you doing just a single rubber band or 2
Yes.
rubber bands?
Single rubber band. If you've been doing 2, that's not going to hurt it. You can continue on with 2, but 1 is all that's needed on these. I'm doing a single band on here, and I was telling you I was pushing these down so I had a little bit of room, and that's why. So we had the room for these guys. And then I'm going to cross this last row here. By last row, I mean the last row of the popsicle part of our popsicle charm. The sticks do not need that here. We're going to do a completely different type of capping band down here, and this one might be a little confusing, so I'm going to give a few minutes for everyone to catch up so we can give our so you can come watch me do it, and I may take it off and do this multiple times just so you can see it. And I'm actually usually I would do this in gold, but for the purpose of being able to see it better, I'm going to do it with a white, so you might be able, hopefully it will help see it. And then when I'm ready to go, I'll swap it out real quick for the gold, just so we can all have the same one when it's over. And let's see if I can maybe angle this where you can see the bands across. You can see them across here. So across 3, across 3. For you single loomers, go just across the 3.
Perfect. We have a question about the top row. Did you do
Yes.
the rubber bands across on the top row?
Nope, I'm sorry. Good call out. I skipped the first row. I did not do this first row right here. Good catch. Good call out. Doing okay?
So far, so good.
I know it's hard to type when your hands are busy with the rainbow loom.
Yeah.
I know I crochet, and I say that all the time when I'm doing something. I'm like, I can't stop and type something right now because I'm crocheting.
Hard, but I think everyone's doing okay right now.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to spin this around because we will start working from bottom up, but I'm going to spin it around so the camera is a lot closer to what I'm about to do. The second way of doing a capping band. Now I would do this in gold, and I will come back and finish it and do it again in gold in a minute, but I wanted to show it in white so it's easier to see. Okay, so on the last peg here with the gold, I'm going to wrap this around 3 times. Okay, so I put it on here, and it's kind of hard to do showing it on camera, so I apologize if my fingers are in the way. I will get better. I wrapped it around once, so now you can see I have it around. Let me see if I can show you. I know, no, I'm at a good angle here. No, I can't get a good angle. So I apologize for that. And then I'm gonna wrap it around a 3rd time. I actually am not as clumsy doing it when I'm not trying to do this on the screen. So let me show you. I'm going to show it on this blank peg here on the end, just so you can see again. Let me see if this let's see if this is any better. So 1, twist it. 2, twist it. 3. So you can see there's 3. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of blurry. but there's 3 on this peg here. And I'm only doing it on the blank peg just to show a better, just a better angle. I don't know if that it was much better, but I'm going to take it off here because we don't want it on the blank peg. It's not. So I'm going to go back and switch to the gold. Do we have any questions about that?
No, so far, no.
Okay. So I'm just putting the gold on the end just so it's all the same color, so it blends. I'm going to take this white one off here and replace it with the gold one. So it's, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're getting tight. Okay. The good thing about the end is it's a lot of repetition. Much like this is, it's a lot of repetition. So to start to what we call, to work the bands up or deband it, I am going to see if I can do this from this side here. Okay, so for your first, I'm going to work the gold ones first. Okay, so I'm going to reach inside here. I'm going to pull those capping bands out of the way, and I keep hitting the camera. And you're trying to get, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get grasp. Oh, this camera is like my hook is hitting the camera every time. You're grasping these two that you have across these 2 pegs here, but from inside. So you want to come in here and you want to move these 2 out of the way. I'm sorry, these 3 from the triple banding. Move them out of the way and grab the 2 that were underneath it. And you want to work them off and move them forward. That's probably the most complicated thing about this whole project is getting that maneuver. And it's not easy. You can use your finger to hold it. I'm just at an odd angle for the camera. So you can use your finger to hold it in place if you need to, but you want to make sure that those triples stay here on this one. And the 2 that were wrapped around originally are moved forward. So again, to make it easier, if you want to push those down and separate it so you have a little bit more room, you can do that. But what I do is I move it out of the way with the back of the hook. I reach down and grab it. So I just grabbed one. I'm sorry. Let me try that again. Again, I'm at a very, very strange angle here. Okay. So I've got the 2. And if you can see, the capping band is underneath it. It's really hard to see, I'm sure, with this at this angle. But you can hold it down if you want to underneath it. Like you can put your fingernail there as you work it over, just to give you a little bit of stability till you get that maneuver down. It will take a little bit of time to figure that out, but that is the hardest part. The rest of it is easy because you don't have that added, that triple band on the top. But that right there is going to be the, kind of the using a quote glue that's going to hold this thing together. It's going to hold one end together. So if you don't have that, the whole thing will fall apart. So you want to make sure you get that on there. So now, because we don't have those, we just have this open here, you want to reach, you're going to do the same thing. And I'm going to kind of go overhead here because the camera is in the way. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to grab the 2 and you're going to move it forward. So pretty much all you're doing is you're moving them forward. And I messed you up a little bit. I hope I didn't mess you up a little bit by skipping around. I skipped around to show how to do that peg again. But I did these 3 here, and you can do these 3 here, or you can continue up. I am going to, just for consistency's sake, I'm going to do these 3 here. And for time purposes, that way we can move through the next rows pretty quickly. So your popsicle sticks should all be moved forward. So now I'm going to shift down just a little bit. I'm not going to go too far because I do have the camera in the way and I won't be able to get my hook in there. But I'm going to do the rest. I'm going to work. I'm going to go ahead and finish this row here and this row here. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go up the middle row. I apologize for that confusion. We're going to go up the middle row because the top matters the way we did that angles. We do need to do the middle row first. So to do the middle row, and the middle row may be a little bit trickier like the ones at the bottom because it's got the 2 capping bands on there, but it's not as hard because it's not as tight. You're going to do the same thing. Grab the 2 that you originally looped across the 2. You're going to move the capping band out of the way. And you're going to reach in and grab the 2 and move them forward, just like I did here. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to work all the way up. Let me make sure we see where I am on the camera. I'm going to move down a little bit, move the capping bands out of the way, reach in, grab the two bands, and progress them forward. Same thing here, and move them forward. You can see, we move the loom down a little bit. I'm gonna speed up a little bit because we are getting very short on time. So I apologize for the single loomers. I did not get it. We're not gonna have time to circle back, but you're doing the same thing with your two. You go up your middle one, and then however, your popsicle stick one is your middle one. So you'll just continue to work up the middle the same way. I was hoping I would have time and I did not.
So just to sort of recap for the single loomers, so you would do the same thing, but instead of 5 rows, do 3 rows, and then row 1 and 3 on the top would be diagonal, right?
Correct.
And then at the bottom, on row 2, which is the middle row, that's where you would make the stick, right?
Correct.
And everything else is pretty much the same.
Correct. So if you ignore these 3 rows here, and just imagine this one is the same on this side, you can make it smaller. Maybe you don't do as many rows, so you want it for more proportion, or maybe it's a long popsicle. You know, you got the long popsicles. You can do it either way. Okay, so did the middle one. The middle one's all moved up. So now I'm going to do the second and the fourth rows, the ones just on either side of the middle, the same way. And remember we went up on the gold to here. So that's where I'm going to pick up. And we're just going to work these guys forward. So you're reaching in, you're moving the capping bands out of the, moving the capping bands out of the way, grabbing the bands that move forward. I'm sorry, the original bands and moving them forward. So I am reaching in, grabbing the original bands at the bottom and moving them forward. Reaching in, moving forward. So I'm going to go pretty quick on these last couple rows here. I want to be able to take this off the loom for you. Should have had my teenage daughter in here doing the single one while I'm doing this. She was also a big rainbow loomer back when it was popular, and actually not too long ago, so I think she would have been a good asset. But it is test week.
So when you pull this off of this one, the other one that you already had like set up and ready to go, is there any way you could show us how to do this, the process you're doing right now, but from the sticks, starting at the sticks? Looks like a lot of people are confused.
Oh, from the bottom?
On the bottom.
Yeah, let me finish looping these last 2 and then we can circle back. That way I can quickly show that part, and then I can go back and show you how to take it off the loom. Because see, we have about 6 minutes. So I'm just gonna kind of go rapid fire here. Sorry. These guys, I'm at a strange angle. I'm telling you, it's a little bit strange to do it this way, but that's okay. Let me get this guy. Oh, that's not what I needed. All right, let me come down here. You know this stuff. I'm doctoring this one up, so.
I think there's confusion starting at the cap bands.
Okay.
For the sticks.
Gotcha. Okay, let me rapid fire this through, and then I will definitely circle back that because I really want to be able to show how to take it off of here and how to finish this out. I don't know if it's going to automatically close on us or if we are okay to go over a few minutes. I don't want to go too far. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So I'm going to try to get this in the last few minutes, but if we need to go over 1 or 2 minutes, that's okay on my end.
Okay. Again, whoever has to leave right on time, that's perfectly fine. You can always come back and rewatch the recording.
And just for this last one, we're going to do it the same way. Just follow that angle. So that was easy. So I'm gonna fly through this last one real quick, just so I have it ready to. Oh, that one just wants to be weird. Okay, so just Note it will circle back in just 1 minute to show you. So I do have, as she was saying, I do have another loom already loaded, ready to go just in case. So I don't have to sit here and load another loom. It is ready to go to show you that part. Again, I'm just moving all of these quickly through, and I know I'm a little bit off camera. So I'm just trying to get these to a point where I can take this off for you. Okay, so this, I am all loaded and moved forward on this one. So I'm gonna move it out of the way and backtrack a minute. Okay, so I'm going to take the capping bands off. I'm gonna show that again quickly. And it is basically, I mean, I know some people will wrap it around their fingers here 3 times, and then they have this right here and they can go over if that's an easier way to do it. For me, it's just easier to go on the peg, and you're just wrapping it around 3 times. So think about it, your ponytail holder, wrapping around your hair 3 times. It's the same thing here. You're just wrapping it around 3 times. Wrap, twist, wrap, twist, wrap, twist. I say just, I know it's not easy, and it's not easy up front. So it is something that can take some practice. So just take your time. I'm going to show it again on this blank one, just so you can get the technique. So I'm moving it out, twist, wrapping it around, twist, wrapping it around. And there's the 3. So if that makes sense. So in order to start moving your rubber bands forward, I'm gonna have to move this out a little bit because of the camera. So what you do is you want to move the capping bands out of the way with the back of your hook. You can see I have it pulling away, and it's really, I know it's really hard to see, so I'm so sorry about that. Let's see, you're going to ignore what I just did. Okay, so I'm gonna move the capping bands out of the way, and I'm gonna grab the 2 that we originally wrapped from here to here before we did the capping bands. So you can see I have them here, and I'm just going to move them forward. So they're wrapped around each other. They're kind of intertwined. And then I'm going to do that again here. And I'm just doing it back and forth so you can kind of see me do it, the same action twice without moving to another action. So I stuck my hook through the opening, moved the capping bands out of the way, and pulled these out from the middle and wrapped it around here. So when I say from the middle, I'm moving it from the inside out and around and back off. So I'm undoing what we did to load the machine, to load the loom. Does that make more sense? Going a little bit slower that way?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. So really quickly, in the last minute that we have, I'm going to shift back here. So to take this off the loom, I'm going to, you can see, watch me here. I'm going to wrap all of these around my hook, and I'm going to move them here to the middle. And I know my hands are in the way. I'm sorry. And you'll see okay, so I moved them all to this peg, from here to this peg. Then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to turn it around so it's, because it is a lot of rubber bands. And I'm going to move them here, and I'm going to use my hand here. So get them on there, get my hook out of the way. And then I think I had one pop back, but for the purposes of this, it is okay. Okay, so now I'm going to, and this is another little bit tricky part, but a lot like the way we did in the beginning. I'm going to stick my hook all the way through all the bands, and you're going to see it poking out at the bottom. You can see it poking out the bottom, so I have all the bands here. And I'm going to put 2 bands on. I am double banding again. I'm back at the double banding, putting them on my hook, moving them up through. So you can see I have captured all of the hooks, or all of the rubber bands in between these 2, or the fold of these 2. So I'm going to do what is like a lark's head knot. So it's just twisted. So I have them on. So I'm trapped all of these rubber bands on here. I'll say now is the time I feel it's the easiest to attach our finding. So I'm just going to use the lanyard one for the sake of, a little bit faster. I feel like it's easier to put it on while it's still attached. So I've got that on there. And all I did was just threaded those 2 loops. So now in order to take it off, the best way to do is once I just popped it off of that first hook, and is to rock back and forth. Now I missed one of my bands right here, but overall, my bands came apart right there. So goodness, my whole row is going to fall apart. One of my bands fell apart when I was at a weird angle. So, but that's okay. For the purposes of what we're doing, you'll still be able to see it. Of course, that's going to happen to me here when I'm trying to do this on camera. And so you can see I'm just going to do the magic of video here and flip over to that one and see it pulled it off. And then you can kind of just, I just kind of pull it around to shape it because it may come off a little quirky. So just for the sake of what I just did here, you see this is a little bit separated here. I don't know if you can see it real well done. Ignore my first row that it popped off right at the very end. As I'm just going to kind of move it around and get it the way to shape it. And there you go. So for the magic of camera, here we go.
Perfect. I know we're a little over time, but we have a couple of questions about the knot.
Okay.
Is there any way you can do it real fast on the other one that you had ready?
Well, I have to move them all forward.
Oh, yeah.
But let me do this. Let me just pop on just like 2 quick. Like I'm just gonna. Sorry, I'm doing it backwards. So I don't want to confuse anybody. I'll just do like 2 rows, 2 or 3 rows, and that way we can show you. And I'm just going to do it as if it's a single. So really this would go like that, like that. So for those of you who have to get going, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And I'm going to continue to show this really quick. I'm going to put the capping bands on here, skipping the first row. I'm just doing all one color, so I'm going to have to put these guys on here so you can see. I am just doing it really quickly. Just a minute. Okay, now let me I'm just trying to get to that point real fast, so I'm zooming through. I'm just moving these forward, moving the capping band out of the way. So it's just just doing it really, really, really short right now. Okay, so move those forward. This guy's my hook is stuck. Okay, I'm going to use a white, so it's a little bit easier to see. I'm going to use 2 bands. If I can get them out of my box here, and then I'm going to stick my hook through. If you can see here, I've stuck my hook through all the bands. I go from the hole at the top and then angle it out just to stick it through so I can see it. So I have the hook up. I'm going to hook these 2 on here, so you can see here I've got it hooked on here. I'm going to move it through the hole of the peg, and then I'm going to set the other one. And really, to make it easier, I'm going to overlap it. Maybe that's a better way to see it. Because really, what you're going to do, because I do it quickly because I crochet, and I apologize. You're going to really that's what you're doing. You're just overlapping, and then you're doing a slip knot. I don't know if that was any easier to understand. And then you're just going to pop it off and rock back and forth. And so that's how the top would be. And that makes and that arching, when we did that angle, that's what makes the kind of rounding at the top of the popsicle.
Perfect.
That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome. Okay, if you want to put this back on the main screen, I'll show this box one more time. You can see, for those of you who are asking about what the box looked like, it is one of these containers, and it has and I taped the paperwork on the front because I have to hold on to it for my job, but that's really what the front looks like when you buy it. This one has the loom in it. And it has lots of bands and the hook. And I believe, and please don't quote me because I think it's $19.99, but that's what I believe this one is. And then this guy was what I was talking about, was like the bucket of a bunch of bands you can get. And it's a newer one, and it's got the 8,000 bands and 150 of the hooks. But I put them in a little baggie. This one does not come with a loom or a hook, but this guy does come with a hook and a loom. And there is a smaller box, but it's like a blue cardboard box. It's not this nice travel container. It is a nice travel box, but it is a smaller box, not as hefty as this guy here. But this is a really good quality box. It's not one of those little flimsy ones. It's really nice. And for the sake of quickly, hopefully not showing, not dropping anything, it's got a place here where you can put your loom, which I took out. And it's got band places, and then you've got beads and alphabet beads you can put within your bracelets. And there's also this book, and it gives you a couple of techniques in here. It's included. So that's always an awesome little addition. And there's also lots of videos online. I've done a ton for Michaels in the past, and I know they're still up. So just search it on our Michaels channel, and you'll find a bunch of different techniques, mainly bracelets, but there's all kinds of different things going on there. So thank you guys so much. I'm sorry we went over a little bit. I know it's a little bit of a challenging project. The written instructions are on michaels.com. And this video was recorded. So as it was said earlier, go back, slow it down a little bit. I try not to talk so fast, but as a Texan, I do have a fast speed, so I apologize. So hope you guys come back to some future classes. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Anna. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.